Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my brand new, way too early 2025 mock draft. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know all these prospects down to a T. I know a good deal amount of what I should know for doing a mock draft, but like I said, this is probably not going to be remotely close to my final mock draft right ahead of the 2025 NBA draft. But this is just something fun to do. And if you guys do not know much about the prospects coming into the 2025 draft, maybe this is a chance you can learn. At number 1, I'm going to be taking Cooper Flagg, the generational prospect out of Duke. They are saying that this is the best American prospect since Zion Williamson back in 2019. And I just want to say, I think he has the superstar potential. I think he has the shot creation. I think he has the defensive ability. I think he can put the ball on the floor. I think he can shoot. I think he can play make. I think he can run the break. There's not really a lot of flaws to this kid. There's going to be a lot of pressure to whatever team he ends up going to. I think the number 1 pick ends up being the Brooklyn Nets. So Cooper Flagg is going to be playing in Brooklyn. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him, but I think he's made for it, and I think he's going to do a really good job in Brooklyn. With the number 2 pick, I have the Utah Jazz taking Nolan Trayor. Yes, I have the new Utah Jazz taking Nolan Trayor over Ace Bailey. Now, the reason I have him going over Ace Bailey for the simple fact is, if the Jazz fall into the second pick of the draft, they need a point guard. They could use a point guard. I think Keontae George is a good point guard, but I also think he can play the 2 next to Nolan Trayor. Nolan Trayor is probably going to be a better shooter coming in. He's going to be a better ball handler and a better playmaker. I think you have your forwards kind of locked up with Lauri Markkanen and Cody Williams, and now you have Nolan Trayor, Keyshawn George, and Walker Kessler. This is a very good young core, in my opinion. And this is a guy who shoots an amazing step-back three-pointer, and he gets downhill flawlessly. At number 3, I have the Washington Wizards taking Ace Bailey. Now, Ace Bailey is one of these guys that are extremely athletic. He sits at 6'9". He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off the catch. The only thing I would like to say a little bit for him is his defense and some of the effort that's put onto the defensive side of the ball. The athleticism is going to translate to the NBA. The shooting is going to translate to the NBA. And with him being 6'9" and having a very long wingspan, I think he's going to be one of the better defensive rookies coming into the draft. At number 4, I have the Charlotte Hornets taking VJ Edgecomb. Now, this could be a little bit easier to pick him instead of Dylan Jackson, in my opinion, is because you need a connector. You drafted a connector in Tijon Saloon for the 4 to connect Brandon Miller, and Mark Williams. Tijon Saloon can probably be that floor spacer, that athletic guy, that defender, maybe in a few years after Miles Bridges runs his course in Charlotte. But I think VJ Edgecomb can be the connector for LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. I think he's very athletic. Like I said, I think that's going to translate to the NBA. I think he's going to be a fantastic on-ball defender. And I think with his athleticism and putting the ball on the basket, I think he's going to be very liable to get downhill multiple times. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on the rim. I think he's going to be a great cutter. I think he's going to be great in transition. He's always going to be a lob threat. Him and Miles Bridges with LaMelo throwing the lobs, it's almost cinema. It's almost cinema. I love that pickup for the Charlotte Hornets. At number 5, I have the Detroit Pistons drafting Dylan Harper. I think Dylan Harper, who, by the way, is the son of Ron Harper, is going to have a very good feel for the game. He's a combo guard. He can play, make, and shoot the basketball. And I think the IQ is going to be there due to his father playing in the NBA and playing on the highest level in the NBA. I think he could be everything that Jaden Ivey wasn't for the Detroit Pistons, and God, do they need some floor spacing. I don't think they're going to be able to fix Ron Holland and Asor Thomas's jump shot. I think it's probably most likely going to be one of them. But I think sliding in Dylan Harper, he can be that lead guard when Cade's not on the floor. And he can also be a spot-up shooter next to Cade Cunningham. I feel like this fit is perfect. Number 6 pick, I have the Portland Trailblazers taking Liam McNeely. Now, the reason I have them taking Liam McNeely, this is a lengthy guy who can play the 2, 3, or 4. He's going to be an excellent spot-up shooter. Fantastic spot-up shooter to the point where this is a connector guy. This is not a guy you're drafting to be the number 1 guy in a franchise, but this is the guy you're going to draft to bring in and have him be a second, third, fourth option or be a really good starter on a championship team because he is versatile offensively. He can be a good pick and pop candidate. He can sit in the corner. He can play off ball. He's going to be very versatile in an offense. And a guy like Scoot Henderson who loves to get downhill, I think Liam McNeely is going to be perfect wherever he plays in Portland. With the number 7th pick, I have the Toronto Raptors going after Kaman Malach. Now, Kaman Malach is one of those raw centers who are 7'2", very athletic, can move around the floor pretty fast, but he's a raw talent. You know, he doesn't have the necessarily feel for on the defensive side of the floor yet. He doesn't know how to guard the pick and roll. He's not going to be a great recovery type of big in day one, but I think he's a raw athlete to the point where maybe in his second or third year, he's going to get to the point where he can be the defensive anchor on a championship team. And I think this is one of those 2 to 3 year investments to the point where he gets to his peak. He could be one of the better defensive bigs in the NBA. Number 8, I have the Chicago Bulls taking Edgar Dement. Now, I know this feels a little repetitive with him and Matas Buzelis going back-to-back years, but I think having a lengthy wing duo or a forward duo of that type of nature, maybe Matas plays the 3 and Edgar Dement plays the 4, and then you have guys like Giddey, Kobe White, and then whatever center you decide to pick up, I think you would be really building something fresh and very, very exciting in Chicago. At number 9, I have the San Antonio Spurs going with Jalil Bethea. I think Jalil Bethea is going to be one of the better spot-up shooters in this draft. And a team like San Antonio who's going to need floor spacing, you bring in a guy like Jalil Bethea who's going to be able to knock down shots from day one. I think he's very athletic, and I think he's going to be a glue type of guy for any team coming up. These are one of those guys like Reed Shepherd who is going to be able to fit on all 30 teams in the NBA and would be able to make a day one impact due to his shooting. And at number 10, I have the Houston Rockets taking Trey Johnson. With the type of talent that Trey Johnson brings, he could be a top 5 pick in this draft. He's very athletic, he's very lengthy, and he's one of the best tough shot makers in this draft completely. I just think if Houston is at number 10 and they keep this pick, this is the guy they would take, but he is probably the best option on the board. Anyway, I appreciate everybody tuning into my 2025 Way Too Early mock draft. I appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, commenting, and if you like this type of content, please stay around. But make sure you guys do not go anywhere, because next up we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite moves this offseason. Don't go anywhere.